Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to the Fastcast. It's your weekly podcast of everything football. We have fantasy, we have the predictions, all the betting lines, news, you name it. We have it all here. We're going to be every single Thursday morning at 8 a.m. right on the Fastcast at YouTube. And today, I am joined here by the Fast Brothers. What a week of NFL playoff football, guys. I know you feel very excited coming into this week.
I certainly
do.
do.
Know how you're feeling right now.
Really, we all saw it coming. We all knew it was going to happen. Everybody was confident. Nobody was scared. Nobody shat their pants. It's okay. But yeah, we're feeling great.
How do you feel? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
No. All I was going to say is I lost a few years of my life on that game, but it was well worth it.
Now, the other question of the week is, how do you think Mark Andrews feels going into this next week?
Oh man, I mean, you got to feel for the guy. I mean, he's obviously a great tight end. It's just very unfortunate. It could be the conditions. It could have been just like the pressure of the moment, But it's very unfortunate happening for some people, not for me.
Well,
he's going to enjoy Cancun, that's for sure.
Yeah, in Cancun it is. Speaking of which, we have two more teams joining them this week because we're down to the Final Four. This is the Conference Championship week. 4 teams left. Battle it out. As always, we're going to go through our thoughts of the games. We're going to pick. We're going to give you the lines to bet on. And we're going to start in the NFC, our 3 o'clock game, Sunday, January 26th, 3 p.m. The Washington Commanders. Yes.
Wowie.
The Washington Commanders in the NFC Conference Championship take on Philly. Now, this is a divisional game. They've played each other already twice this year. NFC East, which means at least one team in the NFC East is going to be going to the Super Bowl once again. And it's not the team we want. But yeah. Either way, let's go through our picks here. Now it's very interesting to me going into this game. They split this year. They split. So Commanders have a game, Eagles have a game. Both winning at their home. We're back in Philly for this week. And what, honestly, this game is going to all boil down to is Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
As we know, he's the captain of the team. Most rushing yards of the year. And in their last 2 matchups, the game that they won, the Commanders won, Saquon had, the team had 211 yards rushing. And the game that they beat the Commanders at home, the Eagles had 228 yards rushing. So both games, they're over 200 yards rushing. And I don't see that story reversing. Now, what is really funny, though, over the course of the year and in the postseason, the Commanders are averaging 44 points in both their postseason games right now, which is absolutely ridiculous. The story for them is going to be Jaden Daniels, which, to be honest with you, out of the remaining 4 quarterbacks, I'm going to say he's playing the most elite. He's like, he looks like the best quarterback out of the 4 teams, just by the vision test so far right now. 44 points average, putting up points, and even their defense is picking up a bit. I think they have literally house money to play with right now. No one expected him to be here. This is already what we were saying last week too about rookie quarterbacks making it this far. This could be history right here, right? First time rookie quarterback Super Bowl. That's what's going on here. That has never been done before. So that in with itself is just absolutely incredible. The cool thing about in the regular seasons is a huge discrepancy between the quarterbacks. So Jaden is like 50 yards average more per game over Jalen Hurts, but we all know the story there is a running. The only thing that I have on that line there is interceptions. If he can protect the ball going into this game and act like normal. Another thing to note, too, when the Commanders won the game they did this year by only a field goal going into the last second of the game, is Jalen Hurts was out that game. They were playing with Pickett.
Yep.
So they have the Eagles at -6 at home. And I think that's a lot of points for this game. I think that's a lot of points. And I know the plan, like going in, and Dan Quinn and everyone in that whole entire locker room knows that the key to winning this game is stopping the run. Realistically, I could see the Commanders going to the Super Bowl if they keep Saquon even under 150 yards. If he has another 200-yard rushing here against them, it's going to be the same story. Eagles are going to win even by that -6 line. If they can contain that and force Jalen to throw the ball, the way they've been playing in the postseason these past couple weeks, it seems like Jaden is unfazed by anything. Any of the pressure, the importance of the games, the heightened pressure of the games. He's that guy going in. If they can put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands and force him to throw it, this will be a lot closer than. I'm gonna take the +6 for the game, but I do have the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. But I think everyone should know the game plan going in is the main thing. Is stop the run. You stop Saquon. I know very much easier said than done. You win the game. Let's go to the next, brother. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same train here as you. I mean, I'd probably say this every single week, but I don't really like Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's not like I dislike him, but as a quarterback, he's really not the best. And like you said, Saquon is the MVP of the team. He's the reason that they are there, whether it's playoffs alone or in the conference championship, or the divisional championship. So realistically, what you're looking at is what it's not even the quarterbacks, because they're going to use Saquon. If Washington can really contain Saquon, which good luck with that, buddy. They're looking really good. I mean, how they played last week is just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, dropping 40 plus on the lines alone is incredible. And then winning a game that nobody expected them to win. I know none of us picked them. I know we all pretty much said, it was nice while it lasted and all that. So now at this point, it's really up to stopping Saquon and Jaden Daniels doing his thing, because we're seeing a resurgence from him, really. I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of similar to like a CJ Stroud and Jordan Love situation last year. They were absolutely fantastic. So, but in the same token, I'm kind of on the same page. It's just, to me, it's way too hard to stop Saquon. So I'm gonna take the +6 here. And I say Philly's going to the Super Bowl.
Now, I'm glad, before we go to Caleb, I'm glad you mentioned the Lions. What happened? Why was it like was that a complete like they tried to outdo themselves, do some crazy playbook thing? Did they not like play their normal game, or what was the? How did the Commanders come out on top there when obviously the Lions were a clear favorite to win the Super Bowl this year? What would you say is the main reason why we're looking at a Commanders Eagles conference instead of Lions right now?
I mean, it's really hard to say. We already knew that Detroit really had a lot of banged up players all over the place. Obviously, David Montgomery coming back was something to look forward to. It just ended up not being extremely beneficial. So,
So you think it's
uh,
the defense that held them there?
I mean,
The amount of
Washington scoring
points.
40 points is not good, right? So,
Arguably, I've seen Lions put up that many points as well. I think the main reason, and maybe Caleb has a reason here that I'm thinking of. What do you think the main Lions drop was?
Well, I have some ties to this game, and the greatest team in the league's game, the Buffalo Bills. They're just so great. The Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills are just the best team in the NFL, hands down. But anyways, yeah, off track. Yeah, I mean, I have a few things that I could definitely say, but the number one thing I think, obviously, 18 players on the IR, most of which defensively. It's a huge blow. To let up that many points against a rookie quarterback, obviously, there is something wrong with the defense there. And containing Jaden Daniels, and especially the big plays that they had with Terry McLaurin. Just some missed tackles were really bad. But I mean, a big thing, same thing with the Ravens game. It's a turnovers. 3 interceptions and a trick play with Jameson Williams throwing an interception. It's not going to win you a playoff game. I mean, playoffs are for the best of the best teams. It's capitalizing off of mistakes, and every time the ball is turned over, you can expect that other playoff caliber team is going to punish you for those turnovers. So, for me, it really is the big turnovers for me.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You can't win games with 4 turnovers. And here's a cool stat for you: the only quarterback to have 4 turnovers this year twice was Jared Goff. And I think the Rams are looking at this game and very thankful because I would put this game 100% on Goff. You can't have 4 turnovers in a postseason game and expect to win.
and that in itself is very surprising.
That and the Lions have played with these injuries for multiple weeks now. And that hasn't slowed them down. They still look like the dominant team in the entirety of the NFL. So this is definitely goes down in the books for a choke show for Jared Goff. And I think that's exactly why the Lions lost. Which was kind of weird because I kind of threw it out there in the podcast. It's like, yeah, something always weird happens. Just throwing it out there. And ended up happening. But yeah, Caleb, what do you got for the pick? What do you think?
Yeah.
Eagles
I mean, yeah, the thing with the Eagles, you guys obviously talked about Saquon, and if you have to contain him, well, I think even in the regular season, that was the game plan for most everyone, was contain Saquon, and it most teams did not. Now, I'm not saying that the Commanders won't, but they haven't, and I don't think it's going to change. I think the Eagles' run game is still going to be as dominant as it is. Um, the only thing is the pass game still is very like it's struggling. It really is. So Jalen Hurts doesn't look great, I would have to say. And if I am to put all the 4 quarterbacks in the list right now that are still in, I'd put Jalen Hurts at the last, and by a pretty decent margin. But it really depends. It's a divisional matchup. It's definitely going to be a close one. But I mean, the Commanders are coming out firing. They're coming out. They got nothing to lose. Everyone had them down and out already before the season even started, and now that they're here, they're fighting for bragging rights. Basically, they got nothing to lose. Whereas the Eagles 2 seed, if you lose to the Commanders, who no one saw here, it's like, oh, babe, boo. But I don't know. It's going to be a really tough game. Playoff divisional matchup for the championship is always going to be a good game. But I chose them at the start, and I had them going to the Super Bowl and winning. So I got to go with the Eagles here to win this game. But you never know. I doubted Jaden Daniels once before, and look where he is now. And so I'm actually going to go with the Eagles -6, actually. I think it's going to be by a touchdown. And it's not exactly because of Saquon, but the defense as well. I think the defense is going to have a lot to say for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, that's what I was I was thinking that, and the same thing too is with the house money thing. The Commanders are just like at this point having fun in their season. I think there's a little extra added pressure for the expectation that the Eagles have that they're supposed to win this game. I don't know if it matters, but that's for me. I feel like that's something as a player you're like thinking about. As a team in whole, you're like, it's just in the back of your head. But especially on the Commanders, like you got to be absolutely thrilled to be here already. You're gonna have that just like no pressure mindset going in, and I think that pumps up the gameplay a little bit. But speaking of these two teams and the NFC going in, as of this week, the Dallas Cowboys have the longest drought in the entire conference of making the championship game. Yay! Go team! Is this a call for me to completely give up and never watch the NFL again? Thoughts?
Realistically, yes. I could have told you that before the season started because you're a Cowboys fan. But honestly, you're going to have, not beating out the Giants for a conference championship game is kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. But to be fair, they had Saquon. But being that it's literally both of these teams in the NFC East in the conference championship, that cuts your odds down to 50% being the lowest, or the team with the highest drought. So, take that as you will. It's kind of tough when there's only 4 teams to be like, oh, 2 of them made it, so we now have the longest drought. It realistically could have been, 2 years?
That's
with the longest drought. So.
Decades of seasons,
Yeah, in this instance, yes, your team is garbage, 100%. But, yeah, it's things got to happen in that organization. Jerry Jones, I'm not gonna say it because it's probably gonna. He has to go away. That's all I'll say. He has to go away in one fashion or another.
I can definitely agree with that. Now the other thing is too that there's 2 coaches on both of these teams that had they didn't originate, but they came from and coaching the Dallas Cowboys. Do they play a part of the success of the teams that are in right now? And what the heck happened? Like, is it just like a culture thing on the Cowboys? Like, why has this not been repeated on the Dallas? But as soon as literally the year they go to a different team, you just point that at the blame for, is it a skill issue, players, how do we draft, or just is it literally just all on Jerry Jones here?
Yeah, it's on Jerry Jones. Realistically, you see coaches leaving and having success elsewhere, and it's no matter what happens on the Cowboys, no matter what coach you have, no matter what players you're losing. So, yeah, it's on Jerry Jones. He's micromanaging that team into the ground. So
I know we're focused, lasered in on the Cowboys here, but does that not happen to, say, like the Bears?
It could. I guess we're gonna see.
So they've had
next
multiple
year.
coaching changes, multiple player changes, multiple this. Is this like just a luck of the draw type thing, or because it's just
you
not
know
what they're doing.
You know you're following the wrong team when you compare your own team to the Bears. Oh man,
Yeah.
I really do
Well,
feel bad for you,
that's just
bro.
the first team I thought of.
Wow,
Right.
it's still, I mean,
Like even like the Jaguars. You can't count anyone in the playoffs, obviously, right now because they've all played. For
I
it.
think the Dallas Cowboys had way too much talent on their team, especially Ezekiel Elliott. That signing, they had way too much talent on their team to not be producing consistent results, especially when it comes to playoff time. And I think you can't just 100% chalk that up to the players or the coaches. I think it's starting to come from elsewhere.
And
that elsewhere
comparing it to the Bears is kind of tough because if you look at the quarterbacks that the Bears have had since 2016, it's a bunch of nobodies. Obviously, you get the first round pick this year, but your team is already in shambles. The last good, and I mean, I guess the last good quarterback they had was Jay Cutler, and his last year was in 2015. He was a backup, I think. He played 5 games in 2016, or he got hurt, or whatever the case was. But I mean, you really have had nobody leading your team that like gives you that wow factor.
Well, now I'm gonna compare it to like a good team, say like the Ravens. I mean, we've made the playoffs multiple times. Is this like a playoff choke team, like a quarterback situation like Dak? You're not gonna win the postseason, kind of like a Lamar choke type deal, or like, I mean, I don't even know what they have to do. Like, they've been through like even Romo. Romo was I would say a pretty good quarterback. And it's just yeah, like you say, not same thing with like Ravens, even Lions this year. Like, how are they not winning? They dropped the first game of their postseason. And I know it's hard to like pick now because there's only one team that obviously wins a Super Bowl out of 32 every year. But yeah, it just seems these coaches that have been with us before has gotten me a little heightened of it's time to give up. Obviously, I'm not going to, but. Yeah,
I think you should.
It's just weird to see. Weird to see is all. All right, I guess we can move on from the NFC shenanigans, and can we? I think we're gonna say these are gonna be both games of the week because these are gonna be great games, and they always are. Conference, it's always like so fun to watch. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go to the 6:30 game. Brothers, Buffalo Bills, in their biggest playoff rival yet, the Three Peters. Well, they're going for the Three Peters in Arrowhead, Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot to say about this game, guys. A lot to say.
Are you going first, or you want us?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I pulled up a bunch of things. Last 5 games, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, the rushing yards, which a really cool fact about the rushing in their last 5 matchups. Did you guys know that the Bills have outrushed the Chiefs in their last 4 games? And in the 5th game, they got it was 182 to 109. But yeah, the Bills had more rushing yards in every single game for the past 4 games, which is a key thing to look at for me because I feel like the running game is very important to open up the passing game. You have to have good on both. It's like a defense thing. And speaking of like defense, defense wins championships. The Chiefs' defense is definitely the story for them this year. 19.2 points averaged against. So teams' opponents are going in and only scoring an average of 19 points. And the differential there is the Chiefs' offense is not much more. They're only scoring 22 points, 22.7. So they're a field goal differential there. And the game's at Chiefs favored at home, -1.5. But that's just a thing I look at, and in their last 5 matchups too, they're head to head, which is kind of weird too. Regular season this year, they only let up 19. Their last 5 Chiefs against the Bills let up 26.8 points. And the Bills defense actually held them to less points, 25.4 points. So they're a whole point defense-wise in their last 5 matchups. But we all know that that doesn't matter when it comes to playoff time, because here's the really scary part when it comes to Mahomes. When he kicks into playoff gear, especially against the Bills, and I pulled this too, the regular season when he played against the Bills, and the playoffs when he plays against the Bills. During the regular season, he averages 245 yards, 1.5 touchdowns, at a 93.5 QB rating. Going into the playoffs against the Bills, remember that, 245 yards, 1.5, 93 rating. Playoffs against the Bills head-to-head, he has 297 yards, which is almost 50. It is 50 more, 53 more. 2.5 touchdowns, which is a full touchdown ahead, and a 127.4 rating. So that's 30, almost 40 QBRs ahead when it's a head-to-head against the Bills. So it's like a night and day difference going in. Another thing to add too, the Chiefs' record going in when facing a team that they lost to their last time, meaning the Bills beat them in the regular season, and when they match up against them again, the Chiefs are 24-7 going against a second opponent, the team they just beat against. January and February against the Bills, all time, Chiefs are 15-2. So they've only lost 2 there. Night games, Patrick Mahomes is 47-12. So this is a lot of wins. As you're seeing me stack up here.
Yeah, but Kansas City also just has a lot of wins in general.
That could be a point.
So just because it's a night game doesn't necessarily.
Those heightened stats head to head against the Bills, regular season versus the playoffs is a little concerning. Coming into this game too, especially when we look at the Chiefs and looking at their season, and we think they're underwhelming. They only lost 1 on the year to the Bills, but then when they play them in the playoffs, as you guys know, out of their last 5 games, the Bills are 3-2. They have a 3-2 matchup in their last 5 games, but all 3 of their wins are from the regular season, and they lost the 2 in the playoffs when it comes matter. Of all time, Patrick versus Josh Allen, they're dead even 4-4. Which is cool. So this is like the tiebreaker game.
What a game to break the tie into.
Yes. It's going to be, and I think, this is as much as we look at the Chiefs too, and like, I don't know if I could say they've had like the worst one-loss season team, because they just win games, and that's all it comes down to. For the pick, man, I think it's going to be close, and I think this 1 point is going to be a lot. Can we have another overtime game for the AFC Conference Championship?
No.
You guys got the rule change based off of literally this game. In the playoffs, you both get a chance to have the ball. Let's have that happen, and you never know. Double overtime, maybe. It's hard to pick for me. And if I don't even know if I'm gonna place one on this game, because you just really can't count the Chiefs out when it comes to the playoffs, and I don't know what happens to Mahomes against this matchup specifically, but those going from 245 to 297 yards against the Bills in the playoffs, 1.5 touchdowns to 2.5 touchdowns against the Bills in the playoffs. The other thing is, This year, Mahomes has twice as many interceptions as Josh Allen too. MVP season, obviously by Josh Allen, but man, everything points to a Chiefs wins here, which is exactly why I'm going to empty my whole entire DraftKings account into the Bills winning this game, and I think the Bills are going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this one is hard for me. Let me just empty my bank account.
All those stats going in, they all mean a lot. Numbers don't lie. But let me tell you this, there's a special thing as football fans that we all do looking at each and every game. And that's what I like to call the vision test. Who looks like they're playing better to the eye? I'm asking that question to like, who looks like they're a better team right now?
I mean, this was mentioned a few weeks ago about
stats
the
aside.
Chiefs.
I'm asking just like who between the two teams, who looks like a better team if you're looking at both of them.
Are you going to ask the two Bills fans?
Yeah.
You really want us to answer that?
I do.
It's the Bills.
Okay, I agree. So
I didn't know if that was a trap or not. I was kind of scared.
Yeah,
No, you're wrong. Actually, your eyes are deceiving you.
the only thing that scares me here, and which I think is what's going to make it a great game, is what I've been those playoff head-to-heads. Is like that's just a night and day difference. It's like they know they're going to go up against the Bills, just like every other NFL team when they have Cowboys on their schedule. They all of a sudden play their Super Bowl that week. This is what it is for the Chiefs against the Bills. They go in and they play it like the Super Bowl. I mean, this is going for the Super Bowl, but it's just those. It's like they lock in or something. But I don't think Josh Allen is moved at all by like the pressure games. He's like in it. You see like the nerves hit like a Sam Darnold. He craps his pants when he gets to the important games. Your Jared Goff.
Yep.
He hits the playoffs and has 4 turnovers, loses the game for his team. The two most confident ones going in is like Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels. They're like guys that are unmoved or unfazed. So they're just those guys that go in, and I'm taking the Bills. And let's hear from the Bills fans. What do you think? Are you guys worried about this game at all?
The only thing, and I'm sure Caleb can agree, that worries me is what's in the black and white. And by black and white, I mean the ones that wear black and white. This has been a conversation that we've had for many weeks. I'm going to
open that up too after you guys do your picks. Are we looking at that as like a hatred towards the Chiefs? Because I know we all do. We want to see them lose. Is this like a Patriots Tom Brady situation where we just want to see them lose? Because if you really look at, and there was only 2 bad calls that hedged in their favor. Were they impactful to the game at all? That let them?
Yes.
Or do you think the Texans, no matter what they're, even if they were calling their own fouls, are the Chiefs just still going to win there?
No, it's. I mean, we see it literally every week. Something happens and it goes in favor of the Chiefs, and then winning the game. In this instance, it was against the Texans, and the Texans literally had twice as many penalties for 82 yards. Chiefs had 4 for 29. So you take the 82. I mean, first of all, Houston had 336 total yards offense. Kansas City only had 212. What?
Fun fact. The Texans are actually the first team in the NFL postseason history to outgain their team by 100 yards, have no turnovers, and still lose. And the record prior to the Texans losing that game was 49-0.
Oh wow,
and there's 82 yards
49.
in penalties.
That's kind of crazy. Actually, I sent you guys that picture too. Every team last week that had more total offensive yards lost the game.
Yep.
I lost the game.
Oh my!
But I lost the game. But I mean, then you look at the turnovers of those games, and you kind of get a better picture.
There's a beep to boop about the Chiefs and penalties in the playoffs. Since 2021, they've played in 11 playoff games. In those 11 games, 10 of the games, there have been more penalties and penalty yards against the opponents than the Chiefs. There's been only one game where there were more penalty yards against the Chiefs, and 0 games where the Chiefs had more penalties. The penalty yard difference is 319 total penalty yards for the Chiefs and 541 to their opponents.
Oh my
with
God.
the Chiefs having 36 penalties and opponents having combined 66.
Okay, that's quite a lot. But is
That's
this a
so-
well-coached, disciplined team?
I mean, every team is going to have. You very seldom see games where teams don't have penalties.
You're saying all the other playoff teams aren't well coached.
So out of 68 regular season games during that same sample of 2021, the Chiefs had more penalty yardage in 55.9% of the games compared to the postseason where they had more penalty yardage in 9% of the games. In the regular season, for the total amount of penalties, the Chiefs had more penalties 36% of the time, and in the playoffs is 0% of the time. So there is a large difference in the regular season numbers compared to postseason.
I guess the really only thing to really tell is like how many of these calls that we think are towards the Chiefs end up happening in points for them or against them end up happening. Because that's like the really only real way. Because there's going to be calls all throughout the game.
There was at least 7 last when they were playing Texans. Third down.
I only thought the one.
Mahomes. Yeah.
The one
Yeah,
that we
no,
all
that's what I
know
meant.
was the roughing the passer there.
Right.
Another thing too is he is leading the league with roughing the passer calls this year. So I don't know if that.
I don't think he is like all time though. Like of the past few years. That's during the regular season. Now
But it's not. It's just not the roughing the
I don't.
passer. It's
Well,
just all
here's
the
my
calls.
theory, right? You know, they are a good team. You know, Mahomes is a good quarterback, and Andy Reid is a great head coach, and obviously they have the talent, Chris Jones, and you know, they have all the talent they need to get themselves to the playoffs. So the refs don't really need to help there. However, when they're in the playoffs and they're playing in the playoffs against other good teams, that's when they need the help.
I mean, there's
And
no
that's where
way
the black
that's,
and white come in.
Do you actually believe that it's like this can't be like a. This isn't like a ref thing that they hire the reffing teams, right, that favor them, and they're 7-0 when they have the reffing squad going in, right? There's no way that they would do that.
Oh,
Well, let me hear your picks. Who do you think's going to win the game?
Straight up, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Buffalo's gonna win this game. It's about time that Josh Allen beats Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. The entire season for the Chiefs has been, I'll say it, a cakewalk. It's been, they have one of the easiest schedules. And brother, you pointed out the 19 points per game against opponents?
Regular season this year, yes. The Chiefs let up 19.2 points a game.
Okay, yeah,
On
and they
average,
played
the
literally
Bills-
nobody.
The Bills this regular season scored 30.9 points per game.
Yeah, the Chiefs have played nobody past week 2. I mean, week 1 and 2, they let up 20 and then 25 against 2 high offensive teams, and then the rest of the season, like, they played a bunch of nobodies. Until they played the Bills, and they lost. They let up 30 against the Bills. And then back-to-back weeks, let up 27 against Carolina. But you're looking at teams that don't score a lot as it is, so their defense is going to look good. And then the win against the Texans last week, I mean, yeah, they only let up 14, but like you said, those little penalties, you know, the third down penalties that give them a first down, that's deflating. That's absolutely deflating. You could have, you know, got your defense off the field. Offense has a chance to drive the ball up the field. But no, you feel like you stopped him. You did everything right. Ref throws a flag because he doesn't like it. You're too mean to Patrick Mahomes. So now your defense has to, after feeling like they did everything that they had to or they were supposed to, they stopped the drive, instantly flips first down. Now you got to stay on the field, already tired, and it's just deflating. So that one penalty alone is a momentum swing. So
I could see that, yeah. But you
Uh,
do realize you just how excited do you feel that you're saying out loud that you're picking your Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl this week? That's got to be.
It makes my body feel so good inside.
That's got to be.
Like I feel like I
insane.
got some magical bone marrow.
Oh,
But
back to this. Yeah.
if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out last week's episode. But yeah, it feels really good. I mean, I've been saying for a few weeks that this is the year. You know, Buffalo's looking incredible. Absolute. It's a joy to watch them week in and week out. It really is. It makes me feel really good. And then on the backside, obviously, Chiefs are a playoff team. We all know that they're going for the three-peat. They're not going to get it. But yeah, this is the year, man. This is the year.
That'd be it. I feel excited for you guys. Heading back to last week too, their matchup against the Ravens. Do you put the blame here on Mark Andrews having a fumble when they needed? I mean, that catch was like down by 8 going in, and you need that fumble, switch the tides, 2-point conversion, need it to tie the game. I wouldn't say it's most likely going into overtime. They still had like a minute and a half to go down to kick a field goal for the Bills to win. You guys were in a really good situation there. Or do you look at Lamar? Is this a playoff choke from him again? Is this his classic goal? Like, oh, Lamar, you know, a couple turnovers, interception, that fumble, which looked, I don't even know what in the world he was doing there. I think that one was really bad, that fumble. But then it seemed like he kind of picked it up and regrouped, I would say, when the last few years, for me anyway, when I look at him, that would be the be-all, end-all for him. Full panic mode, completely throw the game. But I think he held it in there pretty good. Do you blame this on Lamar or maybe the coaching? It seems like they get to the postseason always losing the same spot. Or do you put this on a Mark Andrews thing? Like, oh my gosh, horrible game. His hands, he couldn't catch in the cold, fumble, drop, everything. What do you guys think of the Ravens? And who's to blame for that game?
Caleb, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, this. I mean, it's hard. It's not like a, obviously Mark Andrews had the drop and the fumble himself, but I mean, two fumbles in his entire career. I mean, he's still a very good player. It's not like, it's entirely his fault. I mean, an interception, a pretty decently bad interception, I would say. Kind of a careless interception, I think would be better. And then, that fumble was not great. And like I said, I mean, 3 turnovers in a playoff game is almost always going to get you a loss there. So, I mean, the biggest thing is 100% the turnovers. And I was very surprised by the Bills, the rush defense. I mean, they actually came out and started to stuff Derrick Henry really early until Justice Hill kind of got in there and started opening it up. And then, obviously, Derrick Henry, as the game goes on, gets a lot better. But still, I think the Buffalo defense did good enough to completely stop the Ravens, and then plus, I mean, those turnovers themselves were massive. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's entirely Mark Andrews' fault or Lamar's fault. I wouldn't say it's a playoff slump thing for him. It's just kind of what happened in the game. I think the defense kind of brought it, and
so you give it a good performance, a good game, just
I think so.
Outplayed. It's outplayed by the events.
Yeah,
by the events
almost.
of the game, the better team won.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's cool.
I mean, you can't. I mean, everyone's like pointing at Mark Andrews, like, oh, how could you drop the ball? Like, the most important part. But like, if you're trying to win a game, you can't leave it up to the last second 2-point conversion. I mean, obviously, I know it's still a big point in the game, and you have to make the catches, but I don't know. I think it's really rough to blame someone for one drop pass when they've been excellent all season, all throughout their whole entire like every year that they played. He's been a reliable target, and it's just unfortunately, the drop happens at like the worst possible time. But you can't say it's entirely his fault.
Yeah, it's just a very unfortunate play. Realistically, like Caleb said, he's been great all season, and you can chalk it up to the conditions. Even your footing might have just been off a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a perfect pass right to him. He kind of had to reach for it, and it could have been a simple him falling back trying to get across the goal line while catching it. Maybe took his eye off the ball to see where he was on the field or whatever. But you really can't blame him for the game because it wasn't him, and it's the whole team, all game, every game. It has to be. It is unfortunate, and it's funny that Caleb, you said people are pointing fingers to Mark Andrews. He has a what's it called, uh, I'm blanking on a charity. He backs a charity for diabetes, and after Tuesday, well, I guess tonight, uh, as of tonight, more than $25,000 was raised from at least 1,000 donations. So
That's awesome.
there's top donations from the GoFundMe included $200 from Bill's Mafia. So after the game, he's obviously getting a lot of criticism for dropping that ball that tied the game, and a lot of Bills fans chipped into that organization to donate money to the charity, which is really, really cool. And that's something you really need uh, as a player that obviously made a mistake in the game that could have helped your team. Obviously, we don't know what would happen after that. There was like a minute and 32 seconds left on the clock or whatever it was. So we don't really know, but really cool to see.
Yeah, that's a lot better, community sense and fan base, donating to charities versus what you guys still haven't commented on when they pushed the little girl down the stairs.
Oh wait, what happened?
Remember that? It was I think halfway, middle through the season or something. One of the fans pushed a Chiefs fan, or was it? I forget who it was. A little girl down the. But anyway, Caleb, I don't think we heard your official pick.
Who's 49ers?
Oh, 49ers. That's what it was. Caleb, I don't think we heard your official pick. Who from the AFC is going to the
I didn't know you actually had to ask the.
I mean, just for you don't know.
Well, let me tell you for the people that don't know. The Kansas City Swifties are horrible. They're going to get absolutely beat down. It's going to be a one-sided slaughter in Arrowhead. Nothing they've ever seen before in their own stadium. People are going to wonder, like, yo, how is this team actually? How do they even make it this far? How do they have 15 wins? And that's just the devastation that Buffalo Bills are going to come in there and cause. The Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, it's Josh Allen versus Patrick. No, it's Josh Allen versus the refs and the Kansas City's studded defense with Steve Spagnuolo. Give me the Formulolis. It's nothing about Patrick Mahomes or their offense. Their offense is god awful trash. I think our defense is, like I said before, the week before, we were not built for the Ravens. If we beat that, or if we win that game, we're going all the way. And I stand by that. I think the Chiefs, I think we're built for them. I think we have the defense for them. I think we're going to come out absolutely slinging, swinging, and banging. I think our offense is going to get through that defense of theirs, which is apparently so good. And Bills are going to win by 21 points, and it's going to be pretty easy.
All right, so just to get this all clear, going into the Super Bowl in a couple weeks now, it won't be next week because they have that little bye week. All three of us are agreeing it's Eagles-Bills. No,
Yep.
No objections?
I agree.
Last chance before we lock it in. All right, there you guys have it. We did our pick'ems. We gave our thoughts, and that's what we got for going into Super Bowl. What are we on now? 50 something.
LIX.
It's Licks, the Licks Bowl.
The Licks Bowl.
It's the Licks Bowl.
Going into the Licks. You have it here, Eagles versus the Bills. Which wouldn't be bad. I think that would be a pretty fun Super Bowl to watch. I'm going to have my chicken wings and pizza as usual and go crazy. Not maybe too crazy on the PBRs this time. But we'll go to our last order of business. Of course, before the It's Okay, It's Not Okay, we know it's all your favorite. Ben Johnson has been officially named as the Chicago Bears head coach. Was this exactly what the Bears needed? Did they make the correct choice? Brother, take it away. Is Ben Johnson the answer?
I would like to think it is. Obviously, having the offensive coordinator for the highest scoring offense in the entire league is something to look forward to, especially when you got, the number one pick in the draft last year. You're looking at another high pick this year. He ranked first in a lot of categories. 28.2 points per game on offense for the Lions this year. Yards per game at almost 400 yards per game. Now, we know that the Bears really struggle on offense. So having Ben Johnson, obviously there's a little bit of a difference here. You're not on the Lions anymore. You got a couple things you got to work with, but they got pieces there that they could definitely work with. They are second to last in the league, the Bears are, in passing yards, and 25th in rushing yards. So they are lacking heavily on offense, and getting as somebody that has had success over the past 2 years in Detroit and somebody that really is the brains behind Detroit's operation when they have the ball is definitely huge for the Bears. I think it's the right choice. I think it's really good for Ben Johnson too. Like we said a couple weeks ago, it was either 2 or 3 weeks ago. Everybody as a coordinator, that next step up is obviously being a head coach. Now, you're not gonna obviously at some point somebody will have to take Andy Reid's spot. Somebody's gonna have to take the Harbaugh spot. So taking that step from OC to head coach and getting the opportunity to turn it around and make it an actual competitive franchise is huge. So I'm really happy for Ben. It's really big for the Bears. Maybe get a little bit of quarterback development and really see where he can take Caleb Williams in the next 3 years of his rookie deal.
That's what I was going to point out too. Rookie quarterback offense. Now, I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I feel like 1 in 4 coordinators to coaches kind of make it as a coach. Do you have any doubt? And we'll go to Caleb as he answers this question. Is this the right move for the Bears? Do you have any doubts of Ben Johnson taking the bigger role and kind of being the head and leading the team of his capabilities? And is it like going to be a player issue or a skill issue, or do you think he's going to pick up? And with this change alone, would you say the Bears going into next year are playoff contenders? With just the head coaching change alone, say the teams stay the same as they were this year, are they contenders off of that change alone?
Well, few things about that. Ben Johnson, I think, obviously new to the head coach role. It's going to be, something we're going to have to see and feel out. Way too early on the playoff call. I mean, you don't know exactly what it's going to look like. The Bears,
without any changes to any teams at all. Like right now as it stands, like if he steps in and based on all the other teams that missed it, do they get a foot ahead just from this change?
No, I don't think so. I think they still have a lot to do. I think Caleb Williams still has a lot to learn, get better at. Which is another reason why I think Ben Johnson is going to be a pretty good fit here. I think they desperately needed an offensive-minded guy. The Bears' defense has been pretty solid throughout the years. Even this year they looked pretty good, especially against some top teams in their division, especially. And I think with a rookie quarterback, I think they're going to need an offensive-headed guy to create plays and learn and understand Caleb Williams a little bit better, and I think it was just a little bit hard for, the defensive guys. And well, I mean, Matt Eberflus he wasn't my favorite head coach. So let's just say that I don't think he was very great. But I think Ben Johnson is going to do good things for the Bears, and I can only see it being a good thing for him. But to say that they make it in the playoffs, especially with the division that they had this year, about that. So I'd probably still say no, but I definitely think it's a good thing, and I definitely think that this is going to be a head coach they're going to keep around. And that's a good thing for the Bears. They don't have much of that.
I would say it's probably not much more that you could go backwards on for the Bears. So just any change at this point will be good. My whole question is this Ben Johnson like Lions difference? Like being like personnel and you have all these, is it like a player difference where he's going to come into the Bears and really struggle to find something? Or is this a coaching thing? That's going to be the biggest question for me. I think the Bears, they didn't really have much choices to go with, but yeah, seeing as they need something on offense, I think this was the probably best possible thing that they could have done. And I think also Ben Johnson was considering the Raiders, so even for him, this was the better choice for him as well. All right, so let's go on to, as you know, and everyone knows by this point, everyone's favorite time of the whole entire week.
It's time for It's Okay, It's Not Okay.
Now, today's is very simple, but I feel like it's something that absolutely needs to be talked about, which is why it's this week's It's Okay, It's Not Okay. Is it okay to go into an NFL game and bring just a giant attention sign? Like, hey, look at my team. Hi, Mom, I'm on TV. That weird sign that was absolutely atrocious with the Josh Allen Super Bowl thing that made me cringe and made me want to shut off the TV and never watch football again because that sign was, oh my God, horrible. And I think you guys know exactly which one I'm talking about. Is it okay or not okay to just bring into the stadium signs? Brother, take it away.
So, I like seeing some of the signs that fans bring in. I think they're hilarious. There's some that just make no sense, that are literally perfect for no reason. But the ones that you have to hold with two hands or have a buddy that's sitting next to you hold up, you're literally blocking people behind you. And I'm sure that's something that we were all going to mention. You know, people pay good money to go to the games, and you hold up signs and they can't see. I mean, there's ways to present it. Obviously, if you got seats on the wall, you can put it on the wall instead of holding it up for people behind you to get blocked. But it could be like after a play, throw the sign up. So there's nothing going on the field. People aren't missing much. You try to get some TV time or whatever. So realistically, I'm going to say that it is okay as long as you're not being a jackass about it. Like, if you're throwing up the sign in the middle of a play and people can't see, first of all, somebody's going to tell you. Like, you're going to get told to stop. Whether it's a fan or, it's probably going to be a fan. Maybe security has, issues with it. If they get told, they come down and be like, hey, don't put the sign up, or they take it from you or whatever. But, be respectful about it. You can bring a sign. My opinion, you can bring it as long as you're being smart about it.
Brother, is it okay or not okay?
Yeah, so I think that there's a time and a place to be waving your big signs around, right? Obviously, there's a lot of people with signs at the game. The camera pans around, there's a bunch of people with their signs, whatever. Now, the size, I think, does matter. Only in this case, because Micro Gang over here,
What?
I think size does matter. Only in this case. Only in this case. You can't be having this ginormous "Hey, look at me" sign. This attention grabber, like you were saying, and wave that around people's face because one, your sign is pointless and meaningless and stupid. So get it out of here. But like, if you got a nice little like, "Hey, this is my favorite player," or "Hey, I have cancer, I'm gonna die like in a couple days," kind of thing. Like, obviously, have your sign,
My God.
because it's the last thing you're gonna be able to make. But
Jesus.
anyways, it's. I think also your seating is pretty important here. I mean, if you're sitting by a wall, like or if you're right up front, got the money, and you're smack dab on the wall, you can hang your sign over the edge. It's not blocking anyone's view. I think that's totally fine. But in general, if you got a nice general seat, there's people behind you, you're waving your flag. No, it's not okay. No, don't bring your signs. Screw your signs. If you are gonna bring them, you can maybe wave them for like 2 seconds, and it has to be during like commercial break, and then it's fine. But other than that, no, absolutely not. It's not fine. Get your sign away from me, loser.
So I like a couple points that you guys made. One being like just the pure like funniness. Like sometimes I just love having the camera pan around and just seeing these ridiculous signs, like the one with the Bills one last week, which was I still have that in my like nightmares. I swear to God, that sign was horrible. Like you guys know the one I'm talking about, right? With the there's no Super Bowl, and then
Oh
they
yeah,
had
without
and
yeah.
they had the lines for John. It made absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah.
And they underlined the
Yeah.
letters that spell out Super Bowl. I was like, what in the world is that garbage? Like that is horrible. Which is those things that I like seeing, kind of thing. And I'm also like kind of a little bit passionate about this thing too, because what I think about is what is the goal of bringing in a
Yeah.
sign? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to get the players to notice you? Are you trying to get on TV? Are you trying to annoy the people behind you? Like, what is, in my mind, like when I go in, what is the reason for bringing in a sign in the first place to watch the game?
Yeah.
I just can't pinpoint it and think of it. And yeah, though, like those reasons could be, like, hey, hey, mom, I'm on TV. Like, that's my whole goal. I want someone to notice my awesome sign, because then we get the moments like these where we're going to be talking about that Bill sign for the next decade, and there's probably going to be no sign worse than that, to be honest with you. But yeah, you get moments like that, but it's like almost like winning the raffle ticket in the playoff game. It's a 1 in a million chance that it's never going to get noticed. Or like the whole players thing, like you want to bring a big sign for your favorite player. It's my first game, please throw something to us. Or
Yeah.
I guess like adding that experience, you can't really. I mean, you can fault, but not really fault people for trying to have a good time in that way. But yeah, for me, there's in my mind, I don't know if someone can maybe when we post this on Twixter, because you heard both opposing opinions. Maybe someone can explain like a good reasoning for like I want to bring in a sign for X reason, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But for as it stands right now, there's no reason for it. It's not okay to annoy everyone around you, blocking view and all that stuff just to try to get on TV. But yeah, you heard it here. We're going to post the It's Okay, It's Not Okay once again over on our Twixter at the Fastcast. Guys, this is an exciting moment in time for the Bills fans, not so much for me, because I've just been sitting on the couch and doing nothing and being really sad that my team sucks and has the longest drought in the whole entire NFC conference, which is horrible for me. I'm never going to watch football again. But at least I get to be excited for my brothers. You are playing for the Super Bowl this week against your arch rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see how that fares out. Tune in with us next week, the Fastcast on YouTube. If you don't know by now, you do now, because I just said it. We're going to be 8 a.m. every single Thursday. We may have a conversation going into what it's going to look like after football season is over. We'll let you guys know about that. But as it stands right now, everyone have a beautiful day, and we'll see y'all next week for the Super Bowl. See ya.
Go Bills.